Welcome to Busy Brain Club, where thinking is free and we should do more of it. Well, this was a very big surprise to me. Just scrolling through the news feed yesterday on Twitter, and I saw a Spaces discussion with Mary Barra, CEO of GM. Now, I've listened to the previous space with Jim Farley from Ford, and that was about the adoption of the North American charging standard. Basically, it's the Tesla standard for charging vehicles. So when I saw this discussion, I already knew what it was. Mary Barra, the CEO of GM, is going to announce they are adopting the Tesla charging system, which is the North American charging standard, NACS. So let's take a look at the connectors to just get an idea as to why it is people are moving towards the Tesla connector. This is the CCS charging standard. Look at it. It's complex. It has multiple connecting ports, and at the top there's a clip. And if you use this connector enough, because you have to plug into so many vehicles, that clip is going to break. And so it wasn't engineered properly. It's not engineered for ease of use. It's thick and it's ugly. I don't know, I don't know why I don't like this connector. It's just big and it's just unnecessarily complex, and it's big. And as you can see in the background, there's a bus. Perhaps that makes sense. It should be the connector you use to charge a bus. But anyways, the North American charging standard, this is what it looks like. On the left here, you see the North American charging standard, which is originally the Tesla connector, and to the right is the CCS or CCS2. There are just many variations of this, and that is the problem. So let's take a look at this chart here. These are the different charging standards. Tesla to the extreme right, and then these variations. Let's take a listen to CNBC as they talk about the adoption of the North American charging standard by GM.
And now we've got breaking news on GM. Phil LeBeau has it. Phil.
John, take a look at shares of General Motors 2 weeks after its competitor Ford said it would strike a deal with Tesla to use the NACS Tesla charging standard. GM is now saying that it will do the same thing. So starting in 2025, it will be incorporating the Tesla NACS charging standard into its EVs so that GM EVs will then be able to charge at Tesla supercharger sites. Also, before then, starting in 2024, General Motors EVs will have access to about 12,000 Tesla superchargers. GM will go through the process of manufacturing adapters so that its current EVs, which have the CCS charging standards, will be able to use the Tesla NACS charging standard. Lots to discuss about this with GM CEO, yet another automaker, saying, you know what? Let's just go with Tesla. It's a better way to go than to have a separate charging standard. And again, this is for those public charging standards stations. You've got the Tesla superchargers, and then you got everybody else. And John, I should point out, if you talk with those who have studied the public chargers in this country, the ones that are not Tesla, they get terrible reviews. And about 20% of the time, they do not work. Either the credit card doesn't work, or it's slow, or it just plain doesn't work. So GM is saying, you know what, let's give the people who buy our EVs more access, and they'll have access to about half of the Tesla superchargers.
One of the things you have to note is when he said compared to the Tesla chargers, what is the customer feedback like? And he's saying no one likes the public charging network. No one likes it. And 20% of the time it doesn't work because Tesla engineered and built such a good charging network. It only makes sense for these companies to adopt it. What is surprising to me is this wasn't done initially. I don't know if maybe it has to do with some government credits or so forth, but Tesla has been building out this network forever, and maybe it has to do with how Tesla had the patent for their charging system, because one of the original conditions they had in their patent was if they opened their patent for charging to an automaker, the automaker would also have to share their patents. But Tesla has eliminated that condition and just open source their patents altogether. So now anyone can make the charging port and the charging connector for their vehicles. But it doesn't just include vehicles, it also includes charging networks. Third-party charging networks will also be able to use the North American charging standard as their connector. So moving forward, there's a lot of money to be made by Tesla just by opening up this standard to all EV manufacturers. Now, Barra said in the Twitter Space interview that the vehicles with the North American charging standard will come in 2025. However, there will be adapters available in spring of 2024 that will allow their existing customer base to adapt to the Tesla charging network. So yes, it uses an adapter, but they should have a better charging experience with the adapter than they would with the current public charging system. Question: who is next to adopt the North American charging standard? There are some hard choices that have to be made, and I think Hyundai and Kia are the next in line. Choosing the right charging network will make or break a company. Doesn't matter how many billions of dollars you've invested in. Tesla has basically standardized the gas station, say for example for gasoline, and basically Ford is like, okay, we're gonna use the gasoline. Bar is like, we're gonna use the gasoline, and everybody else is like, okay, we're gonna use diesel. If the market gets segmented like that, and it's gonna be a whole lot of adapters and just unnecessary engineering and a waste of money to not have one standard for charging networks. Now in Europe, they've already mandated CCS, I believe. In Europe, they have a whole different thing going on. You have Teslas that don't have the Tesla connectors, which is crazy, but that's, Europe's going to do what Europe does. So this is a win-win for Tesla. GM and Ford will benefit. I'm not sure this will be enough to save the ass from bankruptcy, but it's a step in the right direction. In my opinion, this decision should have come a long time ago. I would have never built the Ford Lightning with any other connector other than the Tesla connector. In the meantime, I have to go look through all the gazillion important things that are happening now in the world that people need to pay attention to. But for those people having doubts about Elon Musk and Tesla, this is like a referendum. This is the clue. If you need to get off that fence, Tesla is winning. Get over it.